Well, hello, America. What a weekend for Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. First, she was being accused of being irresponsible for flying while in labor. Then that turns into outrage that her teenage daughter is pregnant and, oh my gosh, might actually have the baby and marry the father. Which then turns into sick rumors that Palin's youngest son, Trig, who was born with Down syndrome, is actually not her baby, but her daughter's baby. Didn't I just see this on an episode of Desperate Housewives? Here's the point tonight. What happened to Sarah Palin this weekend proves why Mr. Smith doesn't go to Washington anymore, and here's how I got there. Try for just a second to imagine being Sarah Palin. This is what I thought might have happened in the Palin home this weekend. You know, you're a soccer mom. You then become a city councilwoman, then mayor. Eventually, you land on an ethics committee where you found yourself so dismayed by the behavior of the people in your own party that you stepped down. And that's when you started to see how the game of politics is really played. But unlike everybody else who just joins in, you wanted to expose it. So you ratted those weasels out. The voters agreed. You were elected to governor, and for nearly 2 years, you've been fighting against the system. Then your phone rings. Hello? Hi, it's John McCain. He's a 4-term, 72-year-old United States Senator, and he is asking you, a young woman from a small town in Alaska, to join him in the most important and powerful office in the world. You hang up. You're a soccer mom. You look across the kitchen where your now unmarried, pregnant teenage daughter sits. You know what's coming. You imagine the life-changing pain and hurt that is going to come her way if you say yes. What do? Your daughter probably looked at you straight in the eye and said, "Mom, I can handle it. I take responsibility for the decisions I made. After all, everybody in town knows about it." Most likely you were never more proud of her, but now 5 days later, as blogs post pictures of your not pregnant daughter looking pregnant, you wonder, have I made the right choice? Do I even live in America anymore? Sarah Palin's story is the story of America, or at least many of us in America. It is the story about overcoming long odds, a story about good parents watching their children make really bad mistakes, and a story about fighting for what you believe in even when everyone says you're not going to win. Most of all, Sarah Palin's story is our story. So, America, here's what you need to know tonight. Unlike the elitists on both sides of the aisle that have spent the last 2 years pretending they're just like you by rolling up their sleeves, my daddy was a worker in a steel mill. Yeah, really? Sarah Palin doesn't need to dress up in camo and go hunting because she's already dressing up in camo and going hunting. She is who she is. She's already like you, warts, mistakes, and bad decisions and all. She doesn't need to tell you, I'm just like you. She is. Now, she's got to use all of that to her advantage and show the country there's no shame in screwing up. We all screw up. It's how you react to it that counts. It's if you pick yourself up that counts. If she does, then maybe Jimmy Stewart just might smile down from heaven, standing there next to God, otherwise known as Obama, smile and look down and see Mrs. Smith go to Washington. Lee Stranahan is a filmmaker and a blogger for the Huffington Post. Lee, you look pissed off.
No.
I don't normally go to the Huffington Post, but I have to tell you, I found a lot of interesting information on both sides in the Huffington Post today, and you guys are actually trying to be fair on this, which I appreciate. You called up a news station up in Alaska and said, tell me about these pictures of her being pregnant and not being pregnant. What'd you find?
Well, the reason I called is the picture has a weird date on it. If you look at it on Flickr, it's dated March 2005. And I knew that couldn't be right because the camera that it was taken with was actually introduced in July 2005. So okay. Unless this conspiracy involves time travel, I knew there was something amiss.
Right.
So I just called up and I said basically, you know, I called the newsroom and I said, you know, what's the story in these pictures? Were they taken in April 2008? And the woman I talked to, who's the assignment manager there, she just went off. She said, this is completely ridiculous. She said, I've dealt with Sarah Palin a number of times. Everyone in the newsroom's dealt with her. We've been on assignments. We've had her in the studio. She was absolutely pregnant, and she went off to tell me, some other stories about that.
Okay, let me real quick, because I only got a couple of more seconds left. You also called the hospital records, which nobody else has done. You call the hospital and you say, what about the records of Sarah Palin's baby? Because everybody's saying now there's no records there. What'd you find out there?
Well, what I found out was, you have to ask to be put on that. They don't just automatically put up. It's not like a public record search. It's like something that they do for families. And so it wasn't up there because they didn't ask for it to be put up there.
Okay. Lee.